Hi, IBC family. Welcome to your midweek devotion. This week, I wanted to talk to you guys about who is leading you. And I'm going to start by reading in Romans 8:14 through 15. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, these are the sons of God. For you did not receive the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you received the spirit of adoption, by whom we cry out, Abba, Father. So when you read these verses, you'll notice that we are led by the Spirit of God. But it also says what we shouldn't be led by, fear. It said we did not receive a spirit of bondage again to fear. You see, when the Spirit of God leads you to do something, it always takes faith. And immediately when you say, yes, God, and you apply your faith, what will come is fear. You'll hear those people say it all the time. Oh, well, I can't do that. And we can't do that. And I don't know how we can afford that. And there's no way that that's going to be possible for me. And what you're hearing is people responding to the fear that's entering in when their faith gets activated, right? You feel your inward man telling you to speak to that person in line, to speak up in this meeting, to take this job despite the position or despite the pay, right? But instead of following in faith, you follow the fear, and the miracle that God had, if you had just kept going in the path that he called you to, will begin to disappear. So now I want to take you into the story of Mary and Martha in Luke 10, which we all know really well. We all know the story of Mary and Martha. Martha had all these guests over, and Mary was sitting and listening to Jesus' teachings. And Martha, it says, was encumbered by much serving. She's just doing all the work, right? So she's busy trying to do everything that needs to get done. And you can see that she's getting really irritated with Mary and also with Jesus. She's coming real frustrated, right? Why is she getting so frustrated? Because of all the work that has to be done. And she is the only one doing it. She was left alone to do it. Everyone else is in this other room sitting down listening to Jesus, right? And it was one of those things where Martha got so frustrated that she finally walked into this meeting and she interrupts Jesus because he's teaching everybody, right? So she walks in and interrupts them. And she says, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Therefore, tell her to help me. So you can see that not only was she frustrated with Mary, but with Jesus too. And she goes on to not only interrupt him, probably with an attitude. I can totally sense an attitude, Martha, like, hey, do you see what's happening here, right? But in the process, she proceeds to tell Jesus what to do. She says, you're going to tell her to help me. Like she was pretty much like, this is what you're going to do, right? And I'm sure she paused to wait for Jesus to do what she asked. She's probably like, okay, you can tell her to get up and help me. And waited, like, go for it. Do what I'm asking. Why? Because she is so convinced that Jesus was going to agree with her. I mean, it was obvious, right? It's obvious what needed to be done. The dinner needed to be cooked. The wood needed to be chopped. The meal needed to be prepped. I mean, this is the olden days. We're not talking about making a dinner currently in modern days. You're talking about going all the way to the well and dragging the water and going back and forth and out to the farm animals and bringing it back in. I mean, you can sense how frustrated Martha was getting if you really picture how much work she was having to go through, right? I mean, going back and forth, and every time walking past that room, seeing her sister sitting there, getting more and more angry, right? And she was getting more frustrated because, again, it was obvious what needed to be done. It's obvious. You have a house full of people. You got to get it done, right? And that is another pitfall to watch out for when you're being led. Don't be led by what is obvious. It was obvious to Martha what needed to come first. You're having a whole bunch of people over to your house for dinner. It's obvious that you're going to need to clean and cook and prep. But she was led by what was obvious and not led by the Spirit, right? Do you know what obvious means? So obvious means clearly seen, which means when you're being led by what is obvious, you're walking by sight. The exact opposite of walking by faith, right? If you're walking by sight, by what is clearly seen, then you're not being led by the Spirit and applying your faith. Proverbs 3:5 says, in all our ways, acknowledge him. That means even when it's obvious, seek him. When it seems like the perfect opportunity, seek him. See, when we are led by the Spirit, we're led internally, not externally, right? The Bible says the Spirit of God bears witness with our spirit. It's that inward knowing. So externally, the doors may be open, all signs may be pointing, but if you are led by the opportunity and you never took the time to ask God, you just assumed, oh, well, it's a perfect opportunity, must be what God has for me. But you assumed and you didn't ask. That's not being led by your Spirit. And what it really comes down to is having a disciplined lifestyle. This is something I'm personally working on in my life right now. We need to discipline ourselves to not assume that it's what God wanted because it's obvious, because it's an opportunity. But we need to ask God in every situation, what do you want, God? Right? And it might not be what seems obvious or what seems to be the perfect opportunity. If you really listen to how people talk, you can hear how they are led. I've been trying to listen to how I talk to have a deeper understanding of what is leading me, right? Here's what people say. Some people are need-led. Well, I need to do this. I need to go see my family. They need me. Did you ask God if you should go? Or are you being need-led? Some people are child-led. My children need to do this. My children need me to do this. I have to do this for my child. Are you being Spirit-led? Are you being child-led? I mean, people, if you listen, they're led by so many things. Need-led, child-led, opportunity-led, situation-led, stress-led. But what we need and what God talks about all the time is we need to be Spirit-led. And that's a disciplined lifestyle, to stop and say, it may look or sound right. Maybe your phone is ringing and someone says, I need your help right now. But instead of being need-led and saying, sure, I'm coming right over, take a moment and say, God, is this what I'm supposed to do right now? Keith Moore said this, and I loved how he worded this. He said, when Jesus ascended into heaven, the disciples were upset. They wanted to stay with Jesus, right? They were with Jesus. They want to be with Jesus. But he said, no, you need to stay. It is better for you. I mean, what could be better than being with the Messiah, with Jesus? What was better was having the Spirit of Jesus inside of you 24/7. That was going to be far better than actually being with Jesus. Because Jesus' Spirit is in us and he is leading us and guiding us if we listen and allow him. So I wanted to end this Devo with a confession Keith Moore had his congregation make. And it's one I personally am going to work on confessing daily. And I want to encourage you to do so also. So you can repeat this after me. Go back and listen to it. Write it down. That's what I did. So you would say, God did not give me a spirit of fear. I refuse to follow fear. Fear does not lead me. Obvious does not lead me. Opportunity does not lead me. I don't make decisions based on fear or external things. By faith, I follow the Spirit. I am led by the Spirit every day, every night. I am a child of God and I am Spirit-led. And one of the things I like to add to that is I hear the voice of my Father, and the voice of a stranger I will not follow. When you believe it, he will become more and more real to you, more obvious to you, and you will know what is him and what is not. So every day when you wake up, say, I will hear the voice of God today. I will be led by my Spirit today. And when you do that, you will always be walking in God's perfect plan, perfect protection. So make sure you are being led by your Spirit this week. Have a great week. Bye.